Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I've just engaged Daphne in a real intense cuddle and I'm absolutely smothered in her hair. I don't know what it is about, a British blue. We've got a cat called Daphne who's a British blue, if this is new to you. But her hair, I can still feel it. It gets everywhere. Yesterday, David made me a cup of tea in the bath. I took a sip of it and pulled out a clump of her hair. So I don't even know how that had managed to get into the mug, but she's a fluffy girl, very dense, very beautiful. So yeah, anyway, here we are talking about the books that I'm reading in the month of January. Very excited about all these books in the month of January. January is always well, to be fair, the beginning of the year is always a great reading time for me. January because I finally get to read the books that I got for my birthday and Christmas that aren't Christmas books, and then also just stuff that I've sort of, that's been percolating. Second video of this year where I've used the word percolate. You're welcome. And I've been having a bit of time, like a chance to think about them and how much I'm looking forward to reading them. So yeah, let's start with a book that I've already started. So I'm recording this on the 2nd of January. You'll be watching this on the 3rd of January, all being well. And I've already started Stolen by Anne Helen Lestadius. This is a book told from a young child's perspective. She is a Sami person, which means she's an indigenous person of Sweden, and they spend a lot of their time, majority of their time, looking after reindeer herds. There it is. There is Daphne's fluff that was getting in my mouth. And the beginning of this book opens with Elsa, that's the name of the girl, going along to see her reindeer herd and finding one of the reindeer brutally killed, and a man there making this sort of gesture at her. And yeah, and then we're just sort of like, what I'm really enjoying about this, because you're getting a sort of like to be read plus am reading, I love the child's perspective, so I love finding out about these things from a child's point of view. Obviously there's a lot of fear in there, like she's really frightened about what's happening to the reindeer and what's happening to her community and this horrible man who's behaving in a very threatening way towards her. But I'm also finding out about the Sami culture from a child's point of view, and it's just beautiful and wonderful. Apparently it's going to be a Netflix film this year. David and I were looking at it last night and trying to work out when it's out. Apparently 2024, guys, so at some point this year. There's Daphne around my foot. So already reading this, which is very exciting. 74 pages in. Then I've got other stuff I'm really excited about reading before we move on to book club stuff. True Biz by Sarah Novick, something I've been looking forward to reading for ages. Got it out on hardback from the library a couple of times, but I mean, truth be told, I'm always going to be a paperback girl, so this is exciting. It's a campus novel set in a River Valley school for the deaf, and it follows a series of students at the school. So Charlie, a rebellious transfer student who's never met another deaf person before, Austin, the school's golden boy whose world is rocked when his baby sister is born hearing, and February, the hearing headmistress, a CODA, which stands for Child of Deaf Adults, who is fighting to keep her school open and her marriage intact, but might not be able to do both. So yeah, this sounds like I'm going to be really into it, so very excited about that. Couple of new books, guys, couple of new books that I'm excited about. So this one is going to sort of like go on as the year, and a little hint as to what's to come in terms of Friday reading vlogs, and also something I'm potentially starting on a Sunday. I will be starting on filming on a Sunday called Slow Sundays, which will be vlogs. If I don't film something on the Friday, I'm going to film a sort of slow Sunday. And this book, Year of Wonder by Clemency Burton Hill, David's mum got me for my birthday after I asked for her, and every day of the year there is a piece of classical music followed by a bit of writing that talks about the composer of that piece of classical music, or the piece itself, or the instrument that's used in it. Dave and I have slowly been dipping our little toes into the pool of classical music and getting into it, but mainly, let's be honest, we like the stuff that we've heard in films. So I'd like to get to know a little bit more, and I feel like this is a great place to start. So this will be being dipped into throughout the year. We've only listened to one piece of music from this so far, and it was called Pieces of Wood, and we both didn't like it. Music for Pieces of Wood by Steve Reich, yeah, which was 5 players playing Pieces of Wood, and we found it a bit intense, if I'm being honest. Then I also got The Warden by Anthony Trollope, which is the first book in the Barchester Towers series. I've owned the second book in the series for quite some time. David's mum bought it for me for Christmas a couple of years ago. Barchester Towers, which is much bigger than this one. And I'm always hearing about how I should read it. It's going to be so lovely and everything. And then when I was recording the Christmas episode of Quick Book Reviews with Philippa, this is one of her favourite series ever, and she mentioned to me, oh, have you got any plans for reading a series, and I was like, I really want to get my hands on The Warden, and had put it on my Christmas list, but then Philippa actually sent it to me as a little thank you for doing the podcast, which was lovely. So we'll be reading this because I had such a great time reading the Cazalet Chronicles last year, and like getting into series and stuff. Like I really want to do that. So yeah, we'll be reading this now. I don't know how many books are in the Barchester Towers series. I mean, maybe I can find out here. Chronicles of Barchester. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, maybe that's one a month between now and June, who knows. So yeah, that one as well. And then speaking of series and people buying me books, David bought me this, Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Every year for Christmas, I ask David to get me a book. Just go into a bookshop and pick a book off the shelves with no sort of prior knowledge that you want me to have for Christmas, which is really lovely thing that he does, and it's always one of my favourite presents that I really look forward to. And this year he picked this book, and the reasons he told me he picked this was because number one is that it's first in a series, and he knew how much I enjoyed reading the Cazalet Chronicles last year, and he wanted to get me the first in a series because then if I liked it, there's more to go to, which is just lovely and thoughtful. Number two, because it was translated, and number two, because it was by a non-white author. So yeah, so this is, and I've heard a lot of hype about this, and like I said, it is a series. I think there's 3 books. Oh, maybe 4 books. And this is set in a cafe in a small back alley in Tokyo. There's a cafe which has been serving carefully brewed coffee for more than 100 years. But this coffee shop offers its customers a unique experience, the chance to travel back in time. And we meet 4 visitors, each of whom is hoping to make use of the cafe's time-travelling offer in order to confront the man who left them, receive a letter from their husband whose memory has begun to fade, see their sister one last time, and meet the daughter they never got the chance to know. And what I really liked was this relationship map of characters. I love a family tree at the top of a book, and this, having this in here, is very, very exciting to me. So yeah, it's got like all the links of how the characters know each other and stuff like that. So looking forward to reading that as well. So much stuff I want to read. Then I've just got 3 from my shelves that when I was looking at them, and like I had to have a little bit of a jiggle around with the shelves because I had a few that were on their sides, and I was making room for other stuff, and then I was looking at these ones thinking, oh, I really do want to read those soon. 2 of which were mentioned of when I asked people on Instagram what their best book of the year was. 2 people, well, more than 2 people mentioned these books. And then one is one that I've picked up once, really enjoyed, got 100, well, let's start with that one. I've picked up Nettle Black by Nat Reeve, got 68 pages in, really enjoyed it. That wasn't even last November, that was the November before. I bought this when I went book shopping with Mercedes, October 2022, and started it on the way home. Loved it, and then it was November, and or maybe I saw her in November. Anyway, I had to stop reading it because I was reading Christmas books, so I didn't get a chance to finish it, but I really enjoyed it. And then the plan was to read it in November last year. Again, the month ran away with me, so yeah, maybe January is the month I want to read it. But yeah, it's set in 1893. It is about Henry Nettle Black. What I really liked is that it's told sort of like semi-epistolary, so there's like, here we go, like some letters and some other bits, some like advertising campaigns and diary entries and stuff. But yeah, it's set in 1893, and it says Henry Nettleback has to act fast or she'll be married off by her elder sister, but leaving the safety of her wealthy life isn't as simple as she thought. Ambushed, robbed, and then saved by a mysterious organisation, part detective agency, part neighbourhood watch, a desperate Henry disguises herself and enlists. Sent out to investigate a string of crimes, she soon realises that she's living in a small rural town with surprisingly big problems. I think it sounds great, and I'm looking forward to reading that. And then, like I said, both of these were mentioned by people to say that they were their best books of the year. I haven't got round to watching anyone's best books of the year videos yet, and that's another reason the top of the year is always such good bloody reading, because I watch other YouTubers' best books of the year and put reservations on those books at the library, or if I own them, bring them onto my TBR. So I'm always reading like people's favourite books, which tend to be great books. That's how I found out about Babel, guys. So yeah, I've got Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, who's the author of Station 11. So it says here, lives separated by time and space have collided, and an exiled Englishman, a writer trapped far from home, and a girl destined to die too young have each glimpsed a world that is not their own. Travelling through the centuries between colonies on the moon and an ever-changing earth, together their lives will solve a mystery that will make you question everything you thought you knew to be true. Doesn't sound like I'd love it, but so many people said it was their favourite book of the year. I'm prepared to go there. And then I've got Pet by Catherine Chidgey. Now, I read by Catherine Chidgey Remote Sympathy when it was longlisted for the Women's Prize. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before, and I very much enjoyed it. It was like, shockingly, it was a book about war and mainly about men and stuff like that, and not something that I thought I'd love, but I really did. So I've been keen to read another book by Catherine. Like every other girl in her class, 12-year-old Justine is drawn to her glamorous, charismatic new teacher and longs to be her pet. However, when a thief begins to target the school, Justine's sense that something isn't quite right grows ever stronger. With each twist of the plot, this gripping story of deception and the corrosive power of guilt takes yet a darker turn. Young as she is, Justine must decide where her loyalties lie. Set in New Zealand in 1984 and 2014 and probing themes of racism, misogyny and the oppressive reaches of Catholicism, Pet is a dazzling and chilling psychological thriller by the author of Remote Sympathy. I mean, sounds great, doesn't it? So those are those. Oh, and then I've got 2 book club books before I get on to 2 books that I started last year and will finish this month. So my 2 book club books that I've got to read this month. My book club, my Patreon book club, we're reading Chain Gang All Stars by Nana Kwame Adeji Brenya. The theme for this month's book was 2023 releases, and I've heard nothing but good things about this. Most recently on the Graham Norton book club podcast, which I very much enjoy. And what I'll say I value about that book club, guys, is that sometimes I listen to podcasts or watch book clubs on telly and stuff like that, on TV programmes, and all the books are brilliant. Like, there's no bad books. But what I really appreciate about that Graham Norton one is that like, if people don't like it, they're really not afraid to say that they don't like it. So appreciate that. But anyway, they did like this, and this is about a sort of reality TV show set in the American prison system and sort of like highlights the injustices of both of those things. Welcome to Chain Gang All Stars, the popular and highly controversial program inside America's prison system. In packed arenas watched by millions of live stream viewers, prisoners compete as gladiators for the ultimate prize, their freedom. Fan favourites Loretta Thurwar and Hamara Hurricane Stacker are teammates and lovers. Thurwar is nearing the end of her time on the circuit, free in just a few matches, a fact she carries as heavily as her lethal hammer. As she prepares for her final encounters, as protesters gather at the gates, and as program's corporate owners stack the odds against her, will the price simply be too high? I think it sounds great. And then for my choir book club, which I've recently set up, this is only the second meeting we've held of it, and what a book I've picked, is Tackle by Jilly Cooper. I've never read a Jilly Cooper book before, but I've always been intrigued, particularly by Riders, which I guess is the main one, and this features one of the characters from Riders. So it said Rupert Campbell Black, all-conquering racehorse owner, trainer and handsomest man in England, is in the darkest of places. His adored wife Taggy is about to undergo chemotherapy. His beloved leading stallion has been assassinated. Now his daughter Bianca is badgering him to buy into a failing local football club, Searston Rovers, so he can sign up her superstar striker boyfriend Ferrell Jackson, and he and Bianca can return home from Perth to look after Taggy. Rupert dislikes football and his first impressions of Searston are distinctly unfavourable, but as their new and indelibly competitive chairman, he won't stand for anything less than an Everest climb to the top of the Premier League. With the help of the club's ravishing and adorable secretary, Temba West, everyone's names are so low, aren't they, and his sassy press officer, Dora Belvedere, he becomes increasingly fond of his righteous mix of players, despite bawling them out whenever they face defeat. Rupert's explosive arrival at Searston causes outrage, so the fights are as furious on the fields, off the fields as on, particularly when glamorous wags flood in to stir up trouble and lust after Rupert. Rupert really must be fanciable. Nor do the local rival football team, their duplicitous chairman and their corrupt dealings make things easier. Let the scandals, sabotage and seductions begin. And to be honest, I need to start this because we're discussing this next Wednesday, so that's a week tomorrow and I haven't started it. I get the vibe it will be quite readable, so we'll see how that goes. And then the 2 books that I've already started. So I started this in November, stopped reading it because of Christmas, and we'll pick it up. This is Names for the Sea, Strangers in Iceland by Sarah Moss. It's a book I tend to read sort of every year. I really, really love it. I didn't read it year before last, so it's been maybe even the year before that as well. So it's been a few years, but it's about Sarah Moss, author, who moves to Iceland, to Reykjavik, with her husband and young family because she takes a job at the university there. And it's just about sort of like relocating. I've always been interested in Iceland, very keen to visit there should I get the opportunity. And yeah, just loved about hearing about her experience. And like I said, like I've read it a few times. It's always really enjoyable. I really enjoy the chapter all about trolls, and yeah, I will finish that this month. And then just before Christmas I started The Instant, which is I guess a little bit similar to this in terms of like writer moves to different place. In this instant, The Instant, Amy has moved from Orkney, because I read her first book, called The Outrun, which I loved, and this is her moving from Orkney to Berlin, moving by herself and sort of like thinking about her relationships with other people. She addresses loneliness quite a lot and stuff like that. I'm about halfway through. So both of these like amazing sort of like relocation writing. This one we've added sort of nature and things like that. But yeah, both great books, similar books as well, but we'll finish those this month as well. So there we go. Those are the books that I plan on reading in the month of January. Excited about all of them. All of them could be great. I love, like, already so excited that like I picked this up as my first book of the year and it's already so good. So yeah, love January's reading, love new books, and love you watching this. So see you all again soon for another BookTube video. Goodbye.